This is 3 News Daily.
Hello everyone, welcome back to 3 News Daily on this Tuesday, December 27th. I'm Stephanie Haney here with your top stories from WKYC.com and our WKYC app. And we start with an update for you from Newcomerstown with the house fire that broke out on Spalding Avenue early Monday morning. Officials have confirmed that 6 people died in the home. The state fire marshal says crews arrived around 1:30 a.m. to find heavy fire throughout the first floor of the home and that the fire was so intense that firefighters couldn't immediately get inside. By the afternoon, crews had demolished the destroyed home and found those 6 victims. The cause of the fire is being investigated, and the fire marshal says they're not ruling out space heaters, wood burners, or other heating devices. Our Neil Fisher will have more details for us this evening. Now in Cleveland Heights, authorities have identified the body of an elderly woman who was found in the snow outside the Forest Hills Place assisted living facility on Mayfield Road. The fire department says that the victim, 72-year-old Frances Washington, lived there. Around 8:20 yesterday morning, a fire crew found her body on the ground at the corner of the building. They don't know how long she was outside, but it appears that she succumbed to the cold weather when she didn't make it back inside. This is a developing story. And we have new information now on a deadly police shooting in Barberton that happened yesterday morning. Police were called to an attempted robbery where a woman was being followed and threatened by a man near the YMCA. Police say when they tried to arrest the man, who has now been identified as 34-year-old Zachary Zorin, he charged at them with a knife, and that's when one officer shot him. He later died at the hospital. Our Emma Henderson will have the latest on this story starting at 4 o'clock on What's New. And this afternoon, 3 News obtained the body camera footage of a Willoughby police officer barely avoiding serious injury while helping a driver involved in an accident on State Route 2 near Lost Nation Road. This video is from Christmas Day around 11 a.m. That's when the driver of a 2001 Toyota Tundra lost control. Watch this.
Hang tight. 16 radio, my car just got smashed. We need another unit.
That was a close one. Very scary. You see, the officer had to jump on the median wall to avoid getting hit himself when the truck slammed into the passenger side of his cruiser. Thankfully, no one was hurt. The 63-year-old operator of the truck was cited for failure to control the vehicle. To health news now, as U.S. health officials worry about a post-holiday rise in viral infections like COVID-19, the flu, and RSV, there's a new concern over a bacteria that's making children sick. The Centers for Disease Control is now tracking a potential increase in strep infections. The Strep A infection is the most dangerous. Nearly 100 people overseas have already died from complications related to it. Strep A causes a painful infection in your throat that can sometimes be resistant to antibiotics. 3 News' Isabel Lawrence will have more for us on this story this evening. Now, you may not be aware of this, but in Ohio, all babies are required to have their hearing tested, and it is because of a family right here in Northeast Ohio. Our Danielle Wiggins talked with one of the women behind these required tests about how her own children helped her decide to help so many others.
This is Christopher's audiogram. This was when he had hearing aids.
Linda Pescic is a passionate advocate.
Here's Laura's.
Whose children ignited her calling.
My 2 children are both profoundly deaf, and I felt that it was wrong for me to not know that.
2 of Pescic's 3 children were diagnosed with genetic hearing loss before their first birthday, something this retired lawyer says was out of the ordinary at the time because most children weren't identified until much later.
You need to know the day you leave the hospital, because there are steps that you must take in order to choose what your child is going to be able to do in life, and in order to choose their language and their communication for life.
And the sooner you know that, the better.
Absolutely. Early intervention is key.
Pescic became one of the authors of House Bill 150, legislation passed 20 years ago that ensures newborns in Ohio are screened for hearing loss before they leave a hospital or birthing center.
The reason why I'm an attorney is so that I could advocate and fight for my children, but not only my children.
According to the CDC, out of every 1,000 babies screened, between 1 and 2 have hearing loss. In 2019, close to 5,000 babies in Ohio did not pass their hearing screening before 1 month of age.
I recognize that had I not been caught, longer than the 6 or 8 months when I was diagnosed, I may not be at the level of where I am today. Go again.
Now 33 years old, Peshek's son Chris has a family of his own. With the help of cochlear implants, an electronic device surgically implanted to improve hearing, and hours of auditory therapy as a child, Chris is able to communicate and hear every precious and funny family moment.
Isabella, where's the baby? Your little brother.
Oh, that is such a sweet moment that Chris was able to be a part of, thanks to his mom's work. Now, Chris and his wife are expecting their second child in February, and they are anxiously awaiting the results of that baby's hearing screening. And that is information, as we know now, that they will know shortly after birth, again, thanks in part to his mom's advocacy work. Incredible. All right, now we have a warning for anyone still trying to fly somewhere on Southwest. This has just been an absolute mess. After days of extreme winter weather across much of the country, the airline now says it will be operating at 1/3 of its schedule for the next several days. They say they're reducing scheduled flights to try to clear up the backlog of stranded passengers from nearly 3,000 flights that had to be canceled on Monday. This is impacting several flights out of Cleveland Hopkins International Airport. So if you have travel plans on Southwest anytime this week, here's your notice to double check that flight information before heading to the airport. Okay, remember how Cleveland Browns defensive end Myles Garrett was benched for the start of Saturday's loss to the New Orleans Saints by coach Kevin Stefanski? Well, now we're learning that it was for an unspecified team violation. Fans were confused why Garrett wasn't on the field with the Saints for the first series, to which Stefanski said yesterday that it was because he was being disciplined. He said it was just a team thing and that was his decision. Now, we do know that Myles Garrett is insisting he'll play the remaining games, though, but if you're like me, you're very, very curious about what he could have done to have such a discipline. I don't know if we'll find out, but hopefully we will. Okay, now the Mega Millions jackpot continues to grow ahead of tonight's drawing. It's now at a cool $565 million. That's the 6th largest jackpot in the 20 years that this game has been being played. The last big winners hit the jackpot in October. Those tickets were sold in California and Florida, and the lucky people who bought them shared a $502 million prize. Now, if you plan to get a ticket today, know that the odds of winning are 1 in 302 million. The next drawing is tonight at 11 p.m. And now it is time for our question of the day. With 2022 coming to a close, we want to know, what was the highlight of your year? We want you to share your favorite moment from 2022 with us in a comment on the WKYC Facebook page, and we'll talk about it during What's New at 4 o'clock. Now, that picture that you see there, that's my most recent favorited photo in my photo albums on my phone. So if you're trying to figure out what your best moment of 2022 was, I highly recommend going to your albums if you've got a smartphone and looking at your favorite photos, because that's what I did today when I was trying to rack my brain, because it truly, I don't want to brag, but it has been a really wonderful year. You know, I get to do this show with all of you. That photo's from yesterday. I got to host the news with my better half, which was a lot of fun. Got a new puppy, 2 healthy kitty cats at home. Lots of good stuff going on. So if you're looking for a pick-me-up at the end of this year, go through your favorited photos in your phone in that little album, and hopefully that'll bring you a smile, because that really made my morning, taking a look through all those memories. Lots of good stuff. A concert with my dad, hanging out with my mom, all kinds of good stuff. I hope the rest of your 2022 goes incredibly well, and we will be back here with you tomorrow for more of your top stories from Northeast Ohio here on 3 News Daily.